Welcome back YouTube to part 2 of my trailer camper teardrop hybrid conversion. I've just finished the wiring for the lights, the trailer lights themselves, the running lights. So it's the main electrics signal wiring. As you can see, as promised, the wide pack Land Rover Defender lights to similarly match the truck itself in the same layout, trying to reflect it in symmetry as much as possible. Across the back here with this bare aluminium, I've ordered some black checker plate. It's going to span right the way across there to fill that, followed by the KBX bumper to match the rear of the Defender. All sticker sets, exactly the same, trying to follow suit. So that's it really. I'll run you through. We've got the standard 7-pin round that we have in the UK. This was actually installed by the trailer builder. So actually runs through the chassis, right underneath, using the rails to disguise the wiring. It then finds itself in this very convenient junction box that allows me to add as many or few as I wish using this key. So he's wired them, for example, tail light, left hand, directional indicator, earth, stop, fog. So as many times as I like. For example, if I wanted to add another stop light, I would just plug into any of these, obviously plus my earth, and I'm away to go. So that made it quite easy. So I went from there, I came through the bottom of the trailer, I used the chassis itself as it's hollow, ran through there, come up, I skipped into the tailgate, using a grommet here to protect. Once again, running down through, popping out with another grommet here. I then used a second, almost like a distribution box here, to allow me to add with as little joints as possible. These are actually temporary. These will be soldered eventually. I just wanted to make sure that I was getting things right. Passing through, clipped. And again, these are just crimped at the moment, making sure I've got everything correct and that the LEDs weren't going to cause me a problem. Once these are soldered and shrink wrapped, I think what we'll do is the best view, is to cut a plate of checker plate across here as best as possible to just to protect it really, so they don't get tugged on or abused in any kind of way possible. So that's it really. This distribution box really helped me out. Made it as simple as it can really get, to be honest. So that's the electrics, but in the meantime I have also insulated the trailer. Well, I've actually started insulating. I stopped, mainly because I don't know how to edit a video yet. So I stopped in a situation where I can actually show you the cross section of the trailer. So here we have 50mm Celotex board. It's actually a brand called Extra Firm, but it's the same stuff. Solid board, tight up against the outside of the trailer. Now the trailer itself is actually 40mm, the beams. I've gone 50mm, and then what I've done is stuck on some 12mm redwood. Now what that does is two things, is it allows me to fix the ply sheets in the future to that very easily, but it also it stops the cold bridging. So this inevitably is going to get super cold during cold spells, and this might just break the gap between one and the other, making life a bit easier. I've taped all joints up as much as possible, like a cocoon in here. There will be a window going in there, so I'll be just cutting that back open when that gets cut in. I've then gone with the double-sided fixed bubble. Now I know, I don't want to get into an argument, I know this isn't the best insulator in the world when you haven't got an air gap, but in this situation it's being used as a vapour barrier more than anything else. So if it adds a little, it adds a little, but more importantly it's going to fight that condensation. As far as anything else, this isn't a tutorial video, but what I will say is if you are doing a similar kind of thing, probably my best advice I could give you is when you're cutting boards like this to use a track saw or a circular saw of some kind, because once you start cutting offline, the next panel just becomes useless and you get into all kinds of different problems. If you don't cut perfectly 90 degrees down through the panel, when you cut the next one it will be bigger one side than the other. So more than anything, the best advice I can give you is to actually use an electrical saw of some kind, circular saw with straight lines. As you can see here, hopefully you can see, it's very, very tight. They're perfect, you know, we had to punch them in there to get them in there. They're lovely and solid, which will help taping up every joint just to stop any cold spots. So that's pretty much it at the moment. The next stage will be getting any kind of electrics in that I need, that are going to be behind the scenes, behind the ply, that kind of thing, and working out a final layout, which will probably end up being, I know it's going to be a kitchen at the back here, about 450mm deep, and maybe a panel at the front with some electrical sockets, but also to hide, I'm thinking about putting the solar charge controller in there, the fuse box, to keep it in the dry and away from the elements, but also if there was ever a problem and it's hammering down with rain, which it always is in the UK, I can tinker under a light like that, for example, and not get soaking wet and get angry, I guess. Just something I just remembered. You probably see that I've added the extra rear lights to the wheel arches here. I've added rear lights to the wheel arch, and I've also added the equivalent to the front side lights that were in that came with the pack for the Defender. Now the reason being, in the UK, it is actually law to have I believe it's a reflective front and rear 150mm away from the widest part of the vehicle. So I didn't want, for example, this little trailer I've got here, it comes with a horrible little thing like that. I didn't want that. This now, along with that, is a stop and tail light. So yeah, in the dark when it's all lit up, it actually looks quite cool. You probably noticed I have a bit of an issue. So these are checker plate edges, and they're trying their hardest not to remain black. So unfortunately, it's going back. They're all going to be taken off, and they're going to be powder coated. I thought they were going to be powder coated, but seemingly not. He promised me he etch primed them and did all of his dues, but long story short, it's all coming off. And the same around this side door here. That to me has not been etched primed as long as we resolve it. There it is. So please stay tuned for more.